Lisa stared at her phone, reading the text message for the third time. Her best friend Rachel had been bugging her about this blind date for 2 weeks now, and she was running out of excuses. Come on, just one coffee. What's the worst that could happen? Rachel had said yesterday during lunch. You've been single for almost a year. It's time. Lisa wasn't sure she agreed with that logic, but she was tired of arguing. The truth was, dating had become exhausting. In her last 3 relationships, things had started well enough, but they always ended the same way. The guys would find out about her family's business, about the money, and suddenly everything changed. Some became weirdly competitive. Others started expecting expensive dates and gifts. One even asked her to invest in his startup on their 4th date. She just wanted someone who liked her for her. Was that really too much to ask? Fine, she had finally told Rachel. But if this guy turns out to be another disaster, you owe me dinner at that Italian place I like. Now here she was, sitting in her car outside a small coffee shop on the east side of town. It wasn't her usual area. The shops were older here, family-owned places with faded awnings and handwritten signs in the windows. It was actually kind of charming. Lisa checked her reflection in the rearview mirror. She'd dressed carefully for this, wearing jeans and a simple sweater instead of her usual designer clothes. No jewelry except for the small earrings her grandmother had given her. She'd even left her new car at home and borrowed Rachel's older sedan. If this guy was going to like her, it would be for the right reasons. She took a deep breath and walked into the coffee shop. The bell above the door chimed, and the smell of fresh coffee and cinnamon rolls hit her immediately. It was cozy inside, with mismatched furniture and local artwork on the walls, very different from the sleek cafes she usually went to downtown. Lisa? She turned and saw him standing up from a corner table. Alex. That's what Rachel had told her his name was. He was tall, with dark hair and an easy smile that reached his eyes. He wore a navy blue jacket that looked a few years old but clean and well-maintained. Hi, yes, Alex, that's me. It's really nice to meet you. He pulled out a chair for her and she sat down. I hope this place is okay. I know it's not fancy, but they make the best coffee in the city. At least that's what I think. It's perfect, Lisa said, and she meant it. There was something genuine about the way he said it, like he actually cared whether she liked the place. They ordered their drinks, and Alex insisted on paying. Lisa noticed he had a loyalty card that was almost full of stamps. So he came here often. That was a good sign. It meant he wasn't just trying to impress her with some expensive spot he'd never been to before. So Rachel tells me you work in marketing? Alex asked, settling back into his chair with his coffee. Yeah, I manage campaigns for a mid-size firm downtown. It's busy, but I like it. What about you? Rachel was mysteriously vague about what you do. Alex laughed, and it was a warm, real laugh. She was, huh? I work in business management. Nothing too exciting. Lots of meetings, lots of problem solving. Some days are better than others. I get that. Some days I feel like all I do is put out fires. Exactly. Alex leaned forward. Last week I had 3 major issues land on my desk before 9 in the morning. I didn't even have time to finish my coffee. They fell into easy conversation after that. Alex had a way of listening that made Lisa feel heard. When she talked about the difficulties of her job, he didn't try to top her stories or offer unwanted advice. He just listened and asked thoughtful questions. She learned that he loved hiking, that he'd been trying to visit every state park within driving distance, and that he had a rescue dog named Cooper who was apparently terrible at catching frisbees but great at stealing socks. I once found 7 of my socks under the couch, Alex said, shaking his head with a grin. 7. I have no idea how he even got them there without me noticing. Lisa laughed, really laughed, for the first time in weeks. Does he at least match them for you? Oh, sure, that would be helpful. No, he prefers to take one from each pair. Maximum chaos. She told him about her own attempts at having a pet. I tried to adopt a cat last year, but it turns out I'm super allergic. I spent one afternoon at the shelter and had to go to urgent care because my eyes swelled shut. Oh no. Yeah, it was pretty dramatic. The shelter staff felt so bad they sent me a fruit basket. They talked about movies and discovered they both loved old films, the kind that didn't rely on special effects but had real stories and dialogue. Alex mentioned he tried to watch at least one classic movie a month, working his way through lists of must-see films. What's the best one you've seen recently? Lisa asked. Casablanca. I know everyone says it's great, but I'd never actually watched it until last month. And wow, it really holds up. Here's looking at you, kid. Lisa quoted, and Alex's face lit up. An hour passed, then 2. The coffee shop started to empty out as the lunch crowd dispersed. Lisa realized she was having more fun than she'd had on a date in years. Alex was interesting and funny, but more than that, he seemed interested in her as a person. He asked about her opinions, her goals, her favorite childhood memories. He didn't once ask about her family or what they did. When Alex excused himself to use the restroom, Lisa pulled out her phone and texted Rachel. "Okay, you were right. He's actually really nice." Rachel's response was immediate. "I knew it. Details later." "Don't mess this up." Lisa smiled and put her phone away just as Alex returned. "I hate to say this, but I should probably get going," he said, checking his watch. It was a simple watch, nothing flashy. "I have to take Cooper to the vet for his checkup, but I'd really like to see you again if you're interested." "I'd like that too," Lisa said, and she genuinely meant it. As they walked out together, Lisa noticed Alex's car in the parking lot. It was an older Honda, maybe 10 years old, with a small dent in the back bumper. He caught her looking and gave a slightly embarrassed smile. "She's not much to look at, but she runs great. Had her since college. Can't seem to let her go." "I think that's nice," Lisa said. "It means you're loyal." Alex's smile widened. "I like to think so." He walked her to Rachel's car, and when she pulled out her keys, he looked a bit confused for a second, probably wondering about the older model, but he didn't say anything. That scored him more points in Lisa's book. "So I'll call you?" Alex asked. "Please do." He waited until she was safely in the car before walking to his own. As Lisa drove away, she watched him in the rearview mirror, standing by his old Honda, waving. She felt something she hadn't felt in a long time after a first date. Hope. Maybe this could actually be something real. Something honest. Alex seemed like a regular guy with a regular life, and right now that was exactly what she wanted. No games, no hidden agendas, just two people getting to know each other. Lisa found herself smiling the whole drive home. When she got back to her apartment, she immediately called Rachel. "Tell me everything about him," Lisa said the moment Rachel picked up. "I thought you'd never ask." They talked for an hour, with Rachel filling in the basics. Alex was 30 years old, had a small apartment across town, worked hard, and according to Rachel's husband, who knew him somehow, was one of the most genuine people you'd ever meet. "He's not rich or anything," Rachel warned. "I mean, he does okay, but he's not the kind of guy who's going to take you to 5-star restaurants every weekend." "Good," Lisa said firmly. "That's exactly what I want. Someone real." That night, as Lisa got ready for bed, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Hi, it's Alex. Just wanted to say I had a really great time today. Hope Cooper behaves at the vet tomorrow. Would you maybe want to grab dinner this weekend? I know a great taco truck near the river." Lisa read the message 3 times, her smile growing with each read. A taco truck, not some expensive restaurant. Not trying to impress her with money he maybe didn't have, just a simple, fun suggestion. She typed back quickly. "I'd love that. I'm free Saturday evening?" His response came almost immediately. "Perfect. It's a date." Lisa fell asleep that night feeling lighter than she had in months. She didn't know much about Alex yet, but she knew enough. He was kind, funny, down to earth, and he seemed to genuinely like her. For the first time in her dating life, she felt like maybe she'd found someone who wanted to know the real her, not the version that came with expectations and dollar signs. Little did she know, Alex was lying in his own bed across town, feeling exactly the same way. He'd spent years having people treat him differently once they knew the truth about who he really was. For once, he'd met someone who just saw him as a regular person. Both of them went to sleep happy, neither knowing that they were both hiding the exact same secret. Saturday came faster than Lisa expected. She spent way too much time deciding what to wear for a taco truck date, eventually settling on casual jeans and a comfortable top. Nothing too fancy, nothing too dressed down. Just right for someone who was trying to be herself. Alex picked her up at 6 and they drove to the riverside in his old Honda. The sun was starting to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The taco truck was parked near a small park, where families were playing and couples were walking their dogs. "I promise this place doesn't look like much, but trust me," Alex said as they approached the colorful truck with hand-painted designs on its sides. He was right. The tacos were amazing. They sat at a picnic table nearby, and Lisa watched as Alex carefully divided up the napkins and made sure she had enough salsa. "So Cooper survived the vet?" she asked between bites. Alex laughed. "Barely. He acted like they were torturing him when all they did was check his ears. The vet tech called him dramatic. Sounds accurate based on what you've told me about him. They talked easily, just like at the coffee shop." Lisa found herself relaxing more and more. Alex told her about a hiking trail he'd discovered last month, and his eyes lit up when he described the view from the top. "You should come with me sometime," he said, then quickly added, "I mean, if you like hiking." "No pressure. I'd like that," Lisa said. "I haven't been hiking in years, but I used to love it." Over the next few weeks, they fell into a comfortable rhythm. They'd meet up twice a week, sometimes more. Alex always suggested budget-friendly activities. Free concerts in the park, museum days when admission was discounted, walks along the river walk, or movie nights at the cheap theater that showed films a few months after release. Lisa appreciated it more than he knew. For once, a guy wasn't trying to impress her with expensive dinners or flashy dates. It felt genuine, like Alex was sharing the things he actually enjoyed doing, not putting on a show. One evening, Alex showed up with a worn backpack and a sheepish smile. "I made sandwiches for a picnic. I hope that's okay. I know it's not fancy." Lisa's heart melted a little. "It's more than okay." They drove to a park overlooking the city and spread out an old blanket. The sandwiches were simple but good, and Alex had even brought a small container of homemade cookies. "My mom's recipe," he explained. "I'm not much of a baker, but these are hard to mess up." As they ate and watched the sun go down, Lisa felt something shift inside her. This was what she'd been looking for. Someone who put thought and effort into things, not money. Someone who wanted to spend time with her, not impress her. But things weren't quite as perfect as they seemed. At home, Lisa's family was starting to notice her good mood and ask questions. "So, who is he?" her mother asked one Sunday during their weekly family dinner. "Just a guy I'm seeing. His name is Alex. What does he do?" Her brother Kevin asked, always the practical one. "He works in business management." Her mother perked up at that. "Oh, which company?" "I don't know, actually. We don't really talk about work that much." Kevin exchanged a look with their father. "You've been seeing him for 3 weeks and you don't know where he works?" "We talk about other things," Lisa said defensively. "Important things, like what we actually care about." Her mother reached across the table and patted her hand. "Honey, we're happy you're dating again. We just want to make sure he's stable. You know how important compatibility is." "You mean financially compatible," Lisa said, her tone sharper than intended. "That's not what she meant," her father interjected, though everyone knew it kind of was. Later that night, Kevin pulled her aside. "Look, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but you come from money. Your lifestyle requires a certain income level. I just don't want you to get hurt when reality sets in." "Maybe I don't want that lifestyle," Lisa shot back. "Maybe I want something real." Kevin sighed. "Just be careful, okay? That's all I'm saying." Lisa left dinner feeling frustrated. Why did everyone assume that money was the most important thing? She'd dated wealthy guys before and they'd all been disasters. At least Alex treated her like a person, not an accessory or a business opportunity. Meanwhile, at work, things were getting intense. Lisa's company had been trying for months to land a partnership with a major tech firm called Nova Tech Industries. The CEO was apparently some young genius who'd built the company from nothing and was now worth billions. But the guy was super private. No photos online, no social media. Rarely did interviews. Even his name was kept somewhat quiet, just known as A Park in most business articles. Lisa's boss assigned her to the presentation team. "This is huge for us. If we can get Novatech on board, it could change everything for the company." She spent her days preparing pitch decks and researching the company. Novatech had come out of nowhere 5 years ago and revolutionized several industries with their innovative approaches. They were known for ethical business practices and surprising amounts of charitable work for such a young company. Lisa found herself impressed despite her usual skepticism about tech billionaires. Her evenings, though, belonged to Alex. They continued their simple dates, and Lisa found herself falling harder than she'd expected. Alex was thoughtful in small ways. He remembered that she didn't like onions and always ordered accordingly. He texted her good morning every day. When she mentioned being stressed about work, he showed up at her apartment with her favorite ice cream and a willingness to listen. One night, about 6 weeks into dating, something strange happened. They were at a casual restaurant, nothing fancy, splitting an appetizer. Lisa's credit card was declined when the bill came. "That's weird," she said, embarrassed. "Let me try another one." "Don't worry about it," Alex said smoothly, pulling out his own card. "I've got it." The bill was over $60, not huge, but not nothing either. And Alex had mentioned earlier that week that money was a bit tight because he'd had to get his car repaired. Lisa's mind spun. How did he pay for that so easily if he was watching his budget? His card went through without any hesitation. When she brought it up later, Alex just shrugged. "I'd been setting aside a little money for a nice dinner out. Tonight seemed like the right time to use it." It was a reasonable explanation, so why did something feel slightly off? There were other small things too. The way Alex seemed to know a lot about business strategy, more than she'd expect from someone in a regular management position. The way he sometimes looked exhausted, like he was carrying more responsibility than he let on. The expensive watch she'd glimpsed once when his sleeve rode up before he quickly pulled it down. But Lisa pushed those thoughts away. She was being paranoid. Her family's worries were getting into her head. Alex was just a hard-working guy who was good at his job and happened to know stuff about business. That was all. What she didn't know was that across town, Rachel was having a very different conversation with her husband, Tom. "I feel bad," Tom said one evening. "Does Lisa still not know?" "Know what?" Rachel asked, though she knew exactly what he meant. About Alex, about who he really is. Rachel bit her lip. "He asked me not to tell her. He wanted a chance to be seen as just a regular person. Can you blame him? After what happened with his last girlfriend?" Tom shook his head. "That was rough. But this is different. They're getting serious. She deserves to know." "I know," Rachel admitted. "But it's not my secret to tell. Alex will tell her when he's ready. And if he waits too long?" Rachel didn't have an answer for that. Back in their separate apartments, both Lisa and Alex were having similar thoughts. Both knew they needed to come clean about their backgrounds. Both were terrified of ruining what they'd built. Lisa stared at her phone, thinking about how to bring up her family's real estate empire. Would Alex think she'd been testing him? Would he feel insulted? Alex sat at his desk in his home office, looking at a framed photo of him and Lisa from their picnic. He'd been putting off the conversation for weeks now. Every time he tried to find the right moment, he chickened out. How do you tell someone you've been lying about your entire life, that you're not the regular guy you pretended to be? The next week, things came to a head in an unexpected way. Lisa was walking through downtown during her lunch break when she saw Alex getting out of a car. But it wasn't his old Honda. It was a sleek black Tesla, and a man in a suit was handing him a folder of papers, speaking to him with obvious deference. She froze, hidden behind a corner. That couldn't be Alex's car. He drove a 10-year-old Honda. She'd seen it dozens of times, but it was definitely him. Same jacket he'd worn last week. Same watch she'd glimpsed before. He looked comfortable with the expensive car, like he belonged there. The man in the suit called him something. She couldn't hear clearly, but it sounded like Mr. Park. Lisa felt her stomach drop. Mr. Park? Not just Alex. She rushed back to her office, her mind racing. Once at her desk, she did something she'd deliberately avoided doing since they started dating. She Googled him. Alex Park Business Management brought up nothing useful, but when she tried A Park CEO, her screen filled with articles. Her hands started shaking as she clicked through them. Novatech Industries. Founded by Alexander Park. Known as A Park in most publications. Private, reclusive, worth an estimated $3 billion. The same company her firm was desperately trying to partner with. The same CEO she'd been researching for weeks. The same person whose meeting was scheduled for next Monday. Alex wasn't a regular guy in business management. He was Alexander Park, one of the youngest billionaires in the country. He'd been lying to her this entire time. Lisa felt like she couldn't breathe. Every budget date, every humble comment, every time he'd acted like money was tight, it had all been an act. He'd made a fool of her. Her phone buzzed. A text from Alex. "Looking forward to seeing you tonight. I'm making dinner at my place. Nothing fancy, just spaghetti." Lisa stared at the message, anger and hurt bubbling up inside her. His place. His small apartment across town. She wondered what that really meant. Probably a penthouse somewhere. She typed back with shaking fingers. Something came up at work. "Can we reschedule?" She needed time to think. Time to figure out what to do with this information. Because in 3 days she was going to walk into a conference room and see Alex again. But this time, it would be as the CEO of Novatech, the man her company desperately wanted to impress, and he had no idea she knew the truth. Monday morning arrived too quickly. Lisa had barely slept all weekend. She'd spent hours going over everything in her mind, replaying every conversation, every date, every moment with Alex. How much of it had been real? How much had been a performance? She'd ignored his texts and calls, claiming work was crazy. It wasn't entirely a lie. Her team had been preparing nonstop for this meeting with Novatech. If they landed this partnership, it would be the biggest deal her company had ever made. Now Lisa stood in the bathroom of her office building, staring at her reflection. She'd dressed professionally, her best suit, hair pulled back neatly. She looked calm and collected. Inside, she was a mess. You can do this, she whispered to herself. Just get through the meeting. Deal with everything else later. Her phone buzzed. A message from her boss. Conference room in 10 minutes. Novatech executives are here early. Lisa took a deep breath and headed upstairs. Her colleagues were already gathered outside the conference room, everyone looking nervous and excited. This was the moment they'd been working toward for months. Ready? Her boss asked, and Lisa nodded, not trusting her voice. They walked into the conference room together. It was one of the big ones with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Several people in expensive suits were already seated on one side of the long table. At the head of the table, with his back to them, stood a man looking out the window, Mr. Park. Thank you so much for meeting with us, Lisa's boss began. The man turned around, and Lisa's world tilted sideways. Alex. But not the Alex she knew. This Alex wore a perfectly tailored suit that probably cost more than her monthly rent. His hair was styled differently, more formal. He carried himself with an authority she'd never seen before. He looked powerful, confident, and completely in control. His eyes found hers across the room, and she saw the exact moment recognition hit him. His composed expression cracked, just for a second, showing shock and something that looked like panic. Good morning, he said, his voice steady despite the tension radiating from him. Thank you for having us. Please, everyone sit. Lisa somehow made it to a chair, her legs feeling like jelly. She sat between her colleagues, trying to focus on her breathing. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. The meeting began, and Lisa watched as Alex transformed into someone she didn't recognize. He was articulate and commanding, asking sharp questions about their proposal. His team clearly respected him, referring to him as Mr. Park and deferring to his judgment on every point. Lisa's boss presented their pitch, and Lisa was supposed to go next with the marketing strategy. But when it came time for her to speak, she stood up, looked directly at Alex, and felt anger replace her shock. She delivered her presentation flawlessly, every word crisp and professional. But underneath, she was furious. This man had lied to her face for 2 months. He'd made her believe he was someone he wasn't, and all the while, he'd probably been laughing at how gullible she was. Alex watched her present, his expression unreadable. When she finished, he asked her 2 questions about the campaign metrics. His tone was professional, but she could hear something else underneath. An apology, a plea? She answered coldly, then sat down. The meeting lasted another hour. By the end, Alex said they'd review the proposal and get back to them within the week. Standard business language that meant nothing. As everyone stood to leave, Alex spoke quietly. Ms. Chen, could I have a moment? Her boss looked at her encouragingly, probably thinking this was a good sign. Lisa wanted to refuse, wanted to walk out and never see him again. But she couldn't. Not in front of her colleagues. Of course, she said, her voice ice. The room emptied, and then it was just the 2 of them. Alex closed the door and leaned against it, his confident CEO demeanor crumbling. Lisa, I can explain. Can you? She crossed her arms. This should be good. Please explain how you lied to me for 2 months. Explain the old car, the budget dates, the whole poor struggling guy routine. Was it fun? Did you and your rich friends have a good laugh about it? No, Alex said firmly. It wasn't like that at all. Then what was it like, Alex? Or should I call you Mr. Park? He flinched. Please, just listen. Why should I? You've done nothing but lie since the day we met. You're right, he admitted, running a hand through his hair, messing up the perfect style. I lied, but my feelings were real. Everything between us was real. Except your entire identity. Alex took a step closer and Lisa took a step back. Do you know what it's like? He asked, his voice dropping. To have people only see your money. To never know if someone likes you or what you represent. My last girlfriend sold stories about me to tabloids. The one before that asked me to buy her a car on our third date. Everyone wants something. So you decided to lie to me instead? I wanted one chance, he said desperately. One chance to be seen as just a person. When Rachel suggested the blind date, I thought maybe I could have something real. I was going to tell you. I was working up to it. Lisa laughed bitterly. When? After we got married? Or were you ever going to tell me at all?
Yes, I was going to tell you.
I know I waited too long. I know I messed up. But I fell for you, Lisa, the real you. Not because of what you do or where you come from, just you. You don't even know me, Lisa shot back. You know the version of me I showed you. Just like I only knew the version of you that was completely fake. It wasn't fake, Alex insisted. The things I told you about myself, they were true. My love for hiking, Cooper. Everything about what I value and care about. The only thing I lied about was the money. The money and the job and the life and basically everything that makes you who you are, Lisa corrected. That's not a small thing, Alex, that's everything. He looked devastated. What can I do? How can I fix this? I don't know if you can, Lisa said quietly, her anger giving way to hurt. I thought I'd found someone genuine. Someone who wanted me for me, not for what I could do for them, but it was all based on a lie. It wasn't all a lie, Alex pleaded. Enough of it was. Lisa walked to the door. Alex moved aside to let her pass and she saw tears in his eyes. Good. He should feel bad. I'm sorry, he whispered as she reached for the door handle. I'm so sorry. Lisa paused, her hand on the door. You know what's really messed up? I was hiding something too. I come from money. My family owns half the real estate in this city. I dressed down for our dates because I was scared of being used. I tested you just like you tested me. We're both liars. She left before she could see his reaction, walking quickly down the hallway to the bathroom. Once inside, she locked herself in a stall and let the tears come. The rest of the day passed in a blur. Her colleagues were excited, thinking the meeting had gone well. Lisa went through the motions, nodding and smiling when appropriate, but inside she felt hollow. That evening, Rachel showed up at her apartment. Lisa knew she would. She opened the door and just looked at her friend. You knew, Lisa said. Rachel nodded, guilt written all over her face. I knew. How long? The whole time. Alex asked me not to tell you. He wanted to be seen as a normal person just once. After what happened with his ex, I understood. I'm sorry, Liz, I thought I was helping. Lisa let her in and they sat on the couch. He really cared about you, Rachel said softly. I've known Alex for years through Tom. I've never seen him as happy as he's been these past 2 months. He lied to me. I know. And that was wrong. But haven't you been lying too? About your family? Your money? Lisa pulled a pillow into her lap. That's different. Is it though? You both did the exact same thing. You both hid your wealth because you were scared of being used. He's a billionaire, Rachel. A billionaire? He probably thinks this is all hilarious. He doesn't. Tom said he's been miserable all weekend. He knew you figured it out when you stopped responding to his messages. Lisa's phone buzzed. Another message from Alex. She'd ignored the previous 20. Rachel glanced at it. You should at least read what he has to say. Why? So he can feed me more lies? Because maybe he deserves a chance to explain. Really explain. Not in a conference room where you're both trying to maintain professional composure. After Rachel left, Lisa sat alone in her apartment. She looked at her phone at all the unread messages from Alex. Finally, she opened them. Most were apologies, but one was longer. Sent late last night. I know you probably won't read this, but I need to say it anyway. You were right. I lied about who I am, but I need you to understand why. For 5 years, I haven't had a single relationship that wasn't tainted by money. People treated me like a prize to be won or a wallet to be opened. I forgot what it felt like to just be myself. Then I met you, and for the first time in years, someone laughed at my jokes because they were actually funny. Not because I'm rich. Someone wanted to spend time with me, not get something from me. I know I should have told you sooner. I was just so scared of losing that feeling. Of losing you. I fell in love with you, Lisa. The real you. And I hope somewhere under all this hurt and anger, Maybe you felt something real for me, too. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Lisa read it 3 times, tears streaming down her face. Because the worst part was she had felt something real. She'd fallen for him, too. For the man who made her homemade cookies and remembered she didn't like onions and texted her good morning every single day. But that man didn't exist. Did he? Her brother's words came back to her. You come from money. You need someone who understands that lifestyle. But Lisa didn't want that lifestyle. She wanted authenticity. She wanted real connection. She'd found it, or thought she had, and now it was all falling apart. She looked at her phone again. Part of her wanted to respond, to hear more, to understand. But another part of her was too hurt, too angry. Lisa set the phone down and went to bed without answering. She didn't know that across town, Alex was sitting in his actual apartment, a penthouse that looked nothing like the small place he'd described. He was staring at his phone, hoping for a response that wasn't coming. Cooper, his rescue dog who really did exist, put his head on Alex's lap. At least that part had been true. I really screwed up, buddy, Alex said, scratching behind the dog's ears. Cooper just wagged his tail, offering the uncomplicated love that only dogs can give. Alex had built a billion-dollar company from nothing. He'd overcome countless obstacles and solved problems that seemed impossible. But now, faced with losing the one real thing he'd had in years, he had no idea how to fix it. And that scared him more than any business challenge ever had. 3 days passed without contact. 3 days of Lisa throwing herself into work, trying not to think about Alex. 3 days of her colleagues celebrating because Novatech had approved the partnership. 3 days of Lisa requesting to be taken off the project because she couldn't face working with him. Her boss was confused but agreed, probably thinking she was just stressed, if only it were that simple. On Thursday evening, Lisa came home to find an envelope slipped under her door. Her heart raced as she picked it up. She recognized Alex's handwriting on the front. Just her name, nothing else. She held it for a long time before opening it. Inside was a letter, handwritten on simple paper. No fancy letterhead, no corporate branding. Just his words. Lisa, I know you don't want to hear from me, and I understand why. But I need you to know my side. And I need to say things I should have said weeks ago. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to understand. I started my company when I was 23. I built it from my college dorm room with money I'd saved from 3 part-time jobs. For 2 years, I lived on instant noodles and slept 4 hours a night. When the company finally took off, I thought success would make me happy. Instead, it made me lonely. Every relationship after that became a transaction. People saw the money first, me second. My last girlfriend recorded our private conversations and sold them to a magazine. Before that, someone I trusted tried to steal my business ideas. I learned to keep walls up, to trust no one completely. Then Rachel suggested a blind date with you. She told me you were funny, kind, and wouldn't care about status or money. I asked her not to tell you who I was. I wanted one chance to meet someone without those walls, without the weight of expectations. That first day at the coffee shop, you laughed at my terrible jokes. You told me about your job stress, and you actually listened when I talked about mine. You didn't ask where I lived or what I drove or what I could do for you. You just wanted to know me. I know I should have told you the truth after the first date or the second or the 10th. Every time I tried, I chickened out. Because being with you was the first time in 5 years I felt like myself. Not Alexander Park, CEO, just Alex. The guy who loves hiking and has a clumsy dog and makes terrible sandwiches. I kept thinking, one more week, one more date. Just a little longer before reality ruins this. But I was wrong. The lie ruined it, not the truth. You told me something that's been on my mind. You said you were hiding your wealth too. I've been researching and I know now. Your family's real estate business, your background, all of it. You were protecting yourself just like I was. We were both so scared of being used that we used each other in a way. I don't know if that makes it better or worse. What I do know is that my feelings were never fake. When I held your hand during that movie, when we watched the sunset at the park, when you told me about your childhood and I told you about mine, all of that was real. The only lie was about my bank account. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I'm just asking you to believe that what we had was genuine. And I'm sorry. I'm so incredibly sorry for hurting you. The ball is in your court. If you want to talk, I'm here. If you never want to see me again, I'll respect that. Lisa read the letter twice, then a third time. She felt her anger softening. mixing with confusion and hurt and something else. Understanding, maybe. She picked up her phone and called Kevin. "Hey, what's up?" Her brother answered, sounding surprised. They'd barely spoken since the awkward family dinner. "I need to talk to you about something." They met at a quiet bar near his office. Lisa told him everything. About Alex, the lies, the reveal, all of it. Kevin listened without interrupting, which was unlike him. When she finished, he was quiet for a moment. Then he said something she didn't expect. "You're mad he lied about being poor. But haven't you been basically lying about being rich?" Lisa blinked. "That's different, is it? You drove Rachel's old car. You dressed down. You never mentioned your family's business. You were testing him, Liz, just like he was testing you. But I was protecting myself. So was he." Kevin leaned forward. "Look, I get it. When you have money, it changes how people see you. I've dealt with it my whole life. Friends who suddenly need loans, dates who expect expensive gifts, people who treat you differently once they know. It's exhausting. Maybe this guy gets that too. So you think I should forgive him? I think you should ask yourself why you're really angry. Is it because he lied? Or is it because you were both trying to find someone authentic, and you both failed in the exact same way?" Lisa went home with Kevin's words echoing in her mind. She pulled out her laptop and did something she hadn't done before. She really researched Alex's company. What she found surprised her. Novatech had a reputation for treating employees exceptionally well. Fair wages, great benefits, work-life balance policies that were rare in the tech industry. There were articles about Alex's anonymous charitable donations, scholarships for underprivileged students, funding for small businesses in struggling neighborhoods. She found an old interview from 3 years ago, one of the few he'd ever done. In it, he talked about his immigrant parents, his father who'd worked 2 jobs to put him through college, his mother who'd cleaned houses while studying for her nursing degree at night. "Success means nothing if you forget where you came from," he'd said in the interview. "I drive my first car sometimes, the one I bought used in college, just to remind myself. Stay humble, stay human. The old Honda, it wasn't part of the act. It was real." Lisa closed her laptop and stared at the ceiling. She'd been so sure Alex was playing her, but maybe he'd been trying to hold on to a part of himself that success had threatened to erase. Her phone rang. "Rachel." "Before you hang up on me," Rachel said quickly, "just hear me out. I'm listening. I know I messed up by not telling you, but I've known Alex for years through Tom. I've seen him go through so much. After his ex betrayed him, he became so closed off. Then he met you, and it was like watching him come back to life. The way he talked about you, Liz, he was genuinely happy. He lied to me, Rachel. I know, and that was wrong. But you lied to him too. You both did the same thing for the same reason. You were both terrified of being used." Lisa sighed. "Everyone keeps saying that, because it's true. Look, I'm not saying you have to forgive him. I'm just saying maybe he deserves a chance to explain face to face. Really explain. Not in a conference room or through a letter, but just the two of you being honest." After hanging up, Lisa thought about what real honesty would look like. No more tests, no more hiding, no more walls. Just 2 people being completely themselves, whatever that meant. On Saturday, Lisa made a decision. She got dressed, drove to the address she'd found through a little research, and knocked on the door of Alex's penthouse. He answered, looking surprised and hopeful and scared all at once. He wore old jeans and a t-shirt, his hair messy. This was Alex at home without the CEO mask. "Can I come in?" Lisa asked. Of course. The apartment was beautiful but not ostentatious. Modern and clean with lots of windows. What caught her attention were the personal touches. Photos of Alex with an older couple, probably his parents, a bookshelf full of worn paperbacks, Cooper's dog toys scattered around, a small succulent plant that looked like it was barely surviving. "I'm terrible with plants," Alex said, noticing her looking at it, "but I keep trying." They sat on his couch, an awkward space between them. "I read your letter," Lisa said. And I've been thinking about what you said, about what everyone's been telling me." She took a breath. "I was angry because I felt betrayed. But I betrayed you too, in a way. I hid who I was, just like you did." "Your family's business," Alex said. "I looked it up after you told me. Chen Property Group. Your family owns half the city." "3/4, actually," Lisa said with a weak smile. "We're very successful. Why didn't you tell me?" "Same reason you didn't tell me. I was scared. My last boyfriend asked me to convince my dad to invest in his startup on our 5th date. The one before that borrowed money and never paid it back. The one before that proposed after 3 weeks, and I found out later he had massive debts he thought I'd cover. Alex nodded slowly. So we were both running from the same thing? Yeah. And we ran right into each other. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Cooper bounded into the room, tail wagging. He immediately went to Lisa, putting his head in her lap. He remembers you, Alex said softly. Lisa petted the dog, feeling tears prick her eyes. I missed him. I missed this. I missed you. She looked up at Alex, really looked at him. The exhaustion in his eyes, the hope, the fear. He looked like a man who'd been holding his breath for days. I don't know if I can trust you again, Lisa admitted. You lied for 2 months, I know. And I don't expect you to forgive me overnight. But I want to try. I want to do this right. No more lies, no more hiding. Just us being completely honest about who we are. That's terrifying. I know. But maybe it's worth it? Lisa thought about the past 2 months. The laughter, the easy conversations, the feeling of being understood. Had that all been fake? No, Rachel was right. The feelings had been real. Only the circumstances had been false. Tell me about the real you, Lisa said finally. Not the struggling guy with the old car. Not just the CEO billionaire. The real you. Alex smiled, and it reached his eyes for the first time since she'd arrived. Okay, the real me. I'm a workaholic who's trying to get better at work-life balance. I really do love hiking and old movies. I'm terrible at cooking anything except breakfast food. I still drive my college car sometimes because it reminds me of when life was simpler. I give away a lot of money anonymously because I remember what it was like to struggle. I'm scared of being alone, and I fall in love too easily with people who see me as a person first. Lisa felt something crack inside her chest. The real me is a control freak who hates asking for help. I test people because I'm afraid of being disappointed. I love my family but hate their expectations. I want to be successful on my own terms, not because of my last name. I'm scared of ending up in a marriage like my parents where everything looks perfect but nobody's actually happy. And I push people away before they can hurt me. Sounds like we're both kind of a mess, Alex said. Yeah, we really are. They looked at each other, and for the first time in days, Lisa felt something shift. Not forgiveness, not yet, but understanding. They'd both been trying to protect themselves and ended up hurting each other in the process, so what now? Alex asked. Lisa thought about it. I think maybe we start over. For real this time. No lies, no pretending. You're Alexander Park, billionaire CEO. I'm Lisa Chen, real estate heiress. And we figure out if we can actually work knowing the truth. Like a second first date? Something like that. Alex reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he took her hand. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm 30 years old. I run a tech company, and I'm terrified I've permanently screwed up the best thing that's happened to me in years. Despite everything, Lisa smiled. Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm 28. I work in marketing, but I'm also kind of rich, and I'm scared too. But maybe we can figure this out together. I'd like that. They didn't fix everything that day. Trust wasn't rebuilt in one conversation. But they started talking. Really talking about their lives, their fears, their hopes. Alex told her about the pressure of running a company, the loneliness of success. Lisa told him about her family's expectations, her struggle to prove herself. As the sun set, casting orange light through the windows, they were still talking. Cooper had fallen asleep at their feet, and somewhere along the way, the awkward space between them on the couch had disappeared. It wasn't perfect. There was still hurt, still uncertainty. But it was honest. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough to build something real. 3 months later, Lisa stood in front of her closet, genuinely unsure what to wear, not because she was trying to hide anything, but because she and Alex were going to dinner with both their families, together, for the first time. This is scarier than any business presentation I've ever done, she said into her phone. Rachel laughed on the other end. You'll be fine. Your mom already loves him. My mom loves that he's successful and respectful. My dad keeps asking about his business strategies. Kevin treats him like a case study. It's weird. At least they're not telling you he's not good enough anymore. That was true. After Lisa had finally introduced Alex to her family as himself, no pretenses, the dinner had been surprisingly pleasant. Well, after the initial awkwardness of explaining why she'd been hiding the fact that she was dating one of the city's most successful entrepreneurs. Her mother had actually laughed. So you were both playing the same game? Testing each other? Something like that, Lisa had admitted. Her father had been more direct. Son, you built a billion-dollar company. Why on earth were you pretending to be broke? Alex had met his eyes steadily. Because I wanted someone to see me, not my bank account. Your daughter was the first person in 5 years to care about my opinion on movies more than my opinion on stock portfolios. That had won him points. Now, standing in front of her mirror, Lisa chose a simple dress. Nice, but not trying too hard. She was getting better at just being herself. Her phone buzzed. Alex. Ready? I'm downstairs. Fair warning, my mom brought kimchi and insists everyone try it. Lisa smiled. She'd met Alex's parents twice now, and they were warm, funny, and refreshingly normal. His mom had cried the first time, hugging Lisa and telling her she was so happy Alex had found someone who made him laugh like that. Your mom's kimchi is amazing. My mom made her signature roast that she only makes for special occasions, so we're apparently pulling out all the stops. This is either going to be great or a complete disaster. Probably both. Lisa headed downstairs. Alex was leaning against his car and she noticed it wasn't the Tesla. It was the old Honda. Really? She asked, grinning. Hey, this car is a classic. Besides, I thought it might break the ice. Proof that I really do drive it sometimes. You're ridiculous. You like it? He kissed her and Lisa felt that familiar warmth. They'd been taking things slowly these past few months, rebuilding trust piece by piece. Some days were harder than others. Sometimes Lisa would catch herself wondering if Alex was being completely honest, and she'd have to remind herself that he was trying. They both were. They'd established rules, complete honesty, even when it was uncomfortable. No more hiding, no more testing. If something bothered them, they talked about it. It wasn't always easy, but it was real. The dinner was at a restaurant that was nice without being pretentious. Neutral territory, Alex had suggested. Both families were already there when they arrived. Lisa's parents sat on one side of the table with Kevin. Alex's parents sat on the other side. His mom wearing a bright smile and his dad looking slightly nervous in a button-up shirt that was clearly new. Everyone. This is happening, Lisa announced as they sat down. Let's just embrace the awkwardness and have fun. That broke the ice. Everyone laughed and conversations started flowing. Lisa's mom and Alex's mom discovered they both loved gardening. Their dads found common ground discussing the challenges of building a business from nothing. Kevin and Alex ended up in a surprisingly friendly debate about investment strategies. Lisa watched it all unfold, feeling something settle in her chest. This was her life now. No more pretending, no more walls. Just her family and his coming together, sometimes awkwardly but genuinely. Later, after dinner, the group moved outside to the restaurant's patio. Alex's dad pulled him aside for a conversation and Lisa's mom did the same with her. He's good for you, her mom said simply. I can see it. You're happier than I've seen you in years. Even though we both lied to each other for months? Her mom smiled. Honey, your father and I dated for 3 months before I found out his family was wealthy. He'd been wearing his roommate's clothes and taking me to cheap restaurants because he wanted to know I liked him, not his family's money. We all have our tests. What matters is what you do after the truth comes out. Lisa stared at her mom. You never told me that. You never asked. You just assumed we had some perfect fairy tale romance. But relationships are messy. What makes them work is choosing to stay and figure it out together. Across the patio, Alex was having a similar conversation with his dad. You seem lighter, his dad observed. More like yourself, I feel like myself. For the first time in a long time. This girl, Lisa, she's important to you. She is. His dad nodded. Then don't mess it up again. I know why you hid who you were. But son, you can't build a life with someone on a foundation of fear. Trust is hard, especially after you've been hurt. But it's worth it. I'm trying, Dad. I know you are. And from what I can see, she's trying too. That's what matters.